Today's video is sponsored by Surfshark VPN. Use the code Kevin to get 83% off your order, plus 1 extra month free. How do you think Nintendo will combat the releases of Xbox Series X and PS5? This is a question a lot of people have right now because there's a kind of, I think, quiet worry that the Switch has been doing really well, and once those new systems come out, it won't anymore because it'll be considered irrelevant or older or whatever. I honestly don't think that's a real fear. The Switch is something different enough that it doesn't matter what happens with Xbox and PlayStation when they up their game, because at the end of the day, the Switch is an entirely different thing, being both a handheld and a docked system. I mean, even look at when the Wii came out. Even though the Wii U was a massive failure, the Wii sold incredibly well and continued to for a long time. I mean, Just Dance came out with a Wii version just last year, which is insane. I'm not really worried about the Switch. I don't think it has to do anything to try and combat Xbox and PlayStation. I think it might take a little bit of a hit with some third-party game support, because there's gonna be some games where they just simply won't be able to run on the Switch, even with an amazing port job involved. But at the end of the day, there's gonna be a lot of original games made for the Switch, both by Nintendo and third parties, and it's just gonna keep doing what it's doing. I'm pretty sure. I don't know, maybe I'll be wrong. We'll find out. AC, Doom, or both? And I would love if there was a new Armored Core. That's probably not what you were asking. Animal Crossing and Doom are both coming out on the same day, and there's this all kinds of fun, crazy meme joke posts with both companies and which one you're getting, blah, blah, blah. I am picking up both, and I'm probably gonna spend time on both of them. Truth be told though, as far as preferences go, I'm leaning towards Doom. Part of it is because Doom is an actual enclosed experience where there is a clear start and end, and so that's something that I can play through relatively quickly, whereas Animal Crossing is more of a long-term investment where I'm slowly building up my town and everything. And to be honest, Animal Crossing never completely clicked with me. Like, I've had some fun. I spent a decent little bit of time in New Leaf on the 3DS, but I didn't grow up with Animal Crossing. I actually missed out on it on some of the older systems like the GameCube. And because I didn't have that experience growing up, I don't think I have that same connection that some people do. I think it's neat. I'll usually play as long as some of my friends are actively also currently playing. But at the end of the day, if I had to choose between those two games and which one I'm really gonna soak some time into, it's gonna be Doom. Sorry, fellow Nintendo Switch fans. What next-gen console will be your go-to, Xbox or PlayStation? Well, obviously I can't make a hard call on this just yet because they're not actually out. Off the top of my head, just kind of thinking about those systems, the general concepts, whatever, I feel like I'm gonna probably end up going along the same path I have with the Xbox One and the PS4, where I'm gonna play a lot of exclusives on PS5, and for whatever reason, this just always works out this way in my own brain. I play a lot of games that are developed by Japanese companies on PlayStation, and a lot of Western devs, I get their stuff on Xbox. I don't know, it just makes sense in my head for some reason. A lot of times it has to do with the fact that these are part of established series where some of the oldest entries were originally on PlayStation, originally on PC and Xbox, so on and so forth. I end up kind of working it that way really often. That's the attitude I'm gonna go into this next generation with. Whether or not I end up picking one as an actual favorite and focus on that, we'll see. It depends a lot on how the consoles actually turn out. Because honestly, I've never considered myself to be like a really big fanboy for either one. There are definitely times where I've used one system more than the other. I spent a lot of time on 360 over PS3 at one point, vice versa later on. I've spent a lot of time on PS4 versus Xbox One. My Xbox One time increased a lot once the One X came out. It just depends a lot on the systems and what games come out. We'll find out. Before moving on, I want to take a second to thank Surfshark VPN for sponsoring today's video. Now, if you don't know what a VPN is, that stands for Virtual Private Network, and it is a super important online privacy tool to have nowadays to make sure your internet activity is safe and secure. Surfshark encrypts all data that you send via the internet so that no one can get access to your passwords, personal data, or any kind of files or things that you don't want to get out there. This is especially important to use if you make use of public Wi-Fi a lot, because that really isn't as safe as a lot of people like to think, and having a VPN will ensure that is as safe as you need it to be. While the privacy protection alone is great for giving you peace of mind, another great feature is that when using Surfshark VPN, you can actually change what country you're connecting to the internet from to make sure that you can get access to content you normally can't. For instance, let's say there's some show you're really excited to see watching that's coming to your favorite streaming service, but not in your country. Well, by using Surfshark VPN, you can change that and still get to access that great content you otherwise wouldn't be able to have. To top all that off, Surfshark is the only VPN that allows you to use a single account on an unlimited number of devices. Use the code Kevin to get 83% off your order plus 1 month free. Surfshark also offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there is no risk to trying it out. Check out the link down below in the description. Are you keen on collecting retro game consoles? And are you excited to see what companies like Analog are up to? specifically like the Analog Pocket. I don't necessarily know if I would say that I collect retro game systems. I mean, I have retro systems, but I don't really go out of my way to get like different colors and different special models. As long as I just have one for each system so I'm able to play those older games, I'm happy. That being said, I have tried getting a few specific colors just because of nostalgia. As for companies like Analog, I absolutely love analog stuff. I'm really looking forward to the Pocket. I'm actually messing around with the Analog DAC right now with the Super NT and the Mega SG, and I've done videos on their stuff before. Obviously, they don't release stuff super often, so it's not a video I've done in a little bit, but I covered the Mega SG when it came out, the Super NT, even the original NT when they did the re-release of it. So yeah, I really like their products. It's definitely a slightly more specific market, but I think it's super cool. Do you think Breath of the Wild 2 will release holiday 2020? I know that's something that a lot of people want to have happen. There's a lot of hopes and dreams that we're going to see Breath of the Wild 2 this year. They did announce it quite a while back now with a very simple trailer. I honestly don't know, and I kind of lean towards probably not. Here's the thing, Zelda games, when you look at the history of their releases, are roughly every other year. There are some clusters in there where you'll get back-to-back releases every year, but a lot of times that's because of ports, like say when Twilight Princess came out on the Wii U, or when Majora's Mask came to the 3DS. That's when you see a lot of games close together. But if you look as far as original new game releases go, it's roughly every other year. So we just got Link's Awakening in 2019, 2 years prior to that, we got Breath of the Wild, and so if you're following that model, it makes sense that Breath of the Wild 2 would be in 2021. Now, the reason why that may not necessarily be the case this time is because they have admitted the fact that Breath of the Wild 2 is based on Breath of the Wild and it's using a lot of ideas and concepts that were originally going to be DLC for it, and they decided to instead invest in entirely new games. Depending on how many things they're reusing from the original Breath of the Wild, that could definitely speed up the development cycle. So I don't think this year is an impossibility. I just don't necessarily believe as hard as some people do that it's going to be this year for sure. With the pink Nintendo Switch having been announced and coming out soon, what other colors do you want to see? For me, I want to see an actual blue color. It's kind of weird right now because with the Switch Lite, there's definitely a clear focus on pastel colors. The gray is kind of an exception to that because it's monochrome, so it's not really a pastel color. But when you see it in the full lineup, it makes sense. It's a little bit of a lighter gray. Because of that focus, I really feel doubtful like they're going to make some of the colors I care about because I'm not super big on pastel. I like a lot of kind of darker, deep saturated colors. Really, I think the main one I would want to see is some kind of deep red. Something along the lines of the Mario Red Joy-Cons would be a really good fit, maybe a couple shades darker than that. That's what I would love to have for a Switch Lite. Something a little more different, because that's just kind of relying on regular normal colors. If they're willing to do slightly crazier designs, I would love to have an actual official Atomic Purple or Fantastic N64 style colors. I just did the shell exchange with the Switch Lite, and that is definitely a thing I would love to have an official Nintendo version of. While they haven't really done it a lot, I feel like the GBASP is the only system I can think of off the top of my head that really did this. Metallic colors. I love silver, especially in handhelds, so if they made some kind of like silver Switch Lite, I think that'd be super cool. What are you most excited for in 2020 to 2021? This is something I've been giving a lot of thought because that's a question that just comes up a lot constantly on social media, so I'm always thinking about like, oh yeah, what is coming out? What stuff's really exciting? I find myself coming to an answer of 2 different games for different reasons. Final Fantasy VII Remake and Cyberpunk 2077. I'm a huge RPG fan, so ultimately most of the times the game I'm gonna be most excited about in a given year is an RPG, and these are 2 very different ones that I'm excited for different reasons. For Final Fantasy VII, I grew up loving the Final Fantasy franchise, and while 7 isn't my absolute favorite one, I am super excited to see how they're going to re-envision that one. It's still a great game. Seeing a new version of it, even if it's not the complete game since they're cutting up into pieces, I'm really curious to see how it's going to turn out, and I can't deny I'm just excited for it. Cyberpunk, on the other hand, I just really like what CD Projekt Red makes. I love the idea of those kind of larger, grand-scale RPGs that involve a lot of choices and consequences and how stuff comes together. And while there still are a few unknowns about how that full experience is going to be, I can't help but contain just a lot of curiosity and excitement for how it's going to turn out. Those are 2 that I'm just really excited for. There's other games, obviously, that I think are gonna be awesome and I'm looking forward to, but at the end of the day, those are the 2 that I'm like, yes, please get here sooner. And of course, both of them got pushed back. For PS5, would you like to see a new iteration like the Series X is doing, PC-like design, or have it retro, paying homage to the PS2 or making it more sleek? Little disagreement on one part here. I don't think the Xbox Series X is that much crazy different of a design from the Xbox One. Yes, it's definitely more PC-like in that it's embraced the idea of being a tower design and not so much the sideways. You can put it sideways, but it looks a little silly. But when you look at it in tower design and you line it up with an Xbox One X in tower design, it's really not that much different. It's a little wider. Yes, when you look at the overall design, it's a square top, or at least close to a square top, instead of being that kind of thin oblong. But ultimately, they look pretty similar on the front when you think about it. So I think there's an evolution in the design that makes sense right there. I don't think it's necessarily a huge shift. For PlayStation, there definitely is a design language from the PS1 through the PS4 that makes sense, and I would expect the PS5 to continue on in that. I would be surprised if whatever the PS5 is does embrace that tower design that the Xbox Series X is doing. I think they're going to be something that's a little closer to what we traditionally see for PlayStation, where it makes sense laying flat. It'll support tower if you like it that way or you need it for your setup, but I think they're going to have something that's going to be a little more traditional. At least that's my assumption. We'll find out. Do you want me to answer your friend's question? I can answer your friend's question, Stevie.
You would really appreciate it.
Would he appreciate it? Okay, should we leave in me having this discussion with you, or do you think that hurt his feelings, that it was you who got me this to happen? Cuphead or Devil May Cry? That is an oddly specific comparison that I'm not sure what those games have super in common, aside from both being difficult, I guess. I love both. Devil May Cry 3 is a formative game for me. That is one of my most favorite 3D action games ever made. It was something I played a ton of as a kid. I went back and played it before DMC5 came out. So if I had to pick between my favorite Devil May Cry or Cuphead, Devil May Cry. But I love all of them. I think we got a video, fellas. Maybe.